So this is the moment we've all been waiting for. I'm going to take these off, see if I screwed them up. And one thing I was thinking about too last night while I was worried about these, I wasn't concerned about the dimensions. And I did have the thought in the back of my mind, but I did so much work yesterday, honestly, that it kind of slipped out. It was still back there, but it wasn't in the forefront of my mind. I'm not concerned with the dimensions, but I'm kind of concerned about the proportions. And what I mean by that is the proportion of these to this. I think I'm good. We're going to find that out too. Let's see here. So some wood glue did leak on the bottom here. I might try and clean that up. I might not. Other than that, that one is perfect. That came out great. We got the nice zigzag. See if I can get a good look. I can't really tell how it's coming out in the camera, but we got that zigzag look that we were looking for. And oh man, that looks great. I'm super happy with that one. And I think the proportion is going to be good. Might not be exact what's, in the game, but we'll take it from there. This should go over a bit more. All right. We got the second one. That was actually something I didn't mention last night. I was putting these on. I think you saw me looking underneath and stuff like that. I wanted to make sure there wasn't squeeze out. And of course there was some squeeze out. Not a ton. And I don't think I might just have to hand sand these off. This piece had some on it too. But that piece looks great too. I'm so happy. Make sure you label the pieces. I had these labeled in the corners and the sides so I could put it back together easy. That's one of the reasons too. It was easier to do upside down. Yeah. Here, let me get you a close-up shot of what we've gotten so far. Actually, that's the side there. Let me see if I can get it over top better. It might be a little shaky. I don't really have, I'm using my cell phone and a tripod for most of this. But you get the idea. That looks pretty good. I actually do have to go get my reference photo. I left it upstairs and I forgot to make myself a cup of coffee. So we'll be right back. All right, everyone. I got my coffee. And we got our photo. All right, so we're on to our main piece here. It's dried since yesterday. It probably dried in like 15 minutes, but I didn't really touch it until now. So now we got to figure out how to put these all together. Normally, I would wood glue in between, and slide them together. However, when I look at the picture and I think about back in the day, they probably didn't have wood glue. I don't know for sure, but I'm thinking they didn't. They might have had like some sort of glue made out of tree sap or whatever. But I really wanted to emphasize these cracks here too, because that's something you really see in this piece. and it's something I want to see in my piece. So I was thinking about leaving, maybe 1/8 of an inch in between the pieces. And then today, I came down and was working on the other problems, and we came to this one, and I got started thinking it over. When you look at the picture, you can't see anything behind the sign. And I'm worried too that, say there's a light source behind it of some sort, wherever I hang it. When I'm thinking of hanging it, I don't think there's going to be a light source, but just say, for example, there is. That light source is going to come through the cracks a bit. And it's not in the game, and I've decided I don't want that in my piece. So then I came back to the idea of wood gluing. But then it might fill in these entire cracks here. And there might be squeeze out I gotta clean up, and it might ruin the piece, or all this other stuff. So I'm gonna combine the two ideas. When I was gonna do the gap here, I was gonna put some slats behind it as a reinforcement and attachment. So I'm gonna do the slats, and we're gonna screw them on because it's a mechanical hold, and we're also gonna wood glue it on. The slats, I'm just gonna take some scrap wood, and I gotta actually paint those a bit too. So we're gonna go paint those real quick, and I'm thinking I gotta wait for it to dry. Too bad. I'll see if I can figure out something else to do in between. By the way, this can be a really hard part of the project. I find when you're getting towards the end and you're painting things and staining things and sealing things, you gotta wait. You gotta be patient. And it feels like I got a ton of work done, and then it's gonna feel like I'm getting no work done. But I really am. And this is to the point of the project where you don't want to mess up. You don't want to start over, because you put so much time into it. By the way, I'm just going to mention this because I almost did it 3 times now, I think. When you're going to wood glue 2 pieces of wood together, don't paint the side, or don't paint the area, I should say, that you're going to be attaching, because it will not work. If you do, you're going to have to sand it off. Little paint's not going to do it. Like, I did get some splotches here. That's not going to do it, but like that's not going to be a good bond. So I'm actually going to have to sand some of that off of that one, the one I did already. But that's okay. All right, so now we have those done. Let's figure out the final position of these. All right. All right, same thing as before. I'm going to put screws in it and countersink them. All right, so I got to the point on this build where I'm going to start weathering the wood here, at least this part of it. I might have to do some more weathering later, but this is to the point where I can do a lot of it. So this one's already brown, so I'm not going to do any brown. I'm just going to use some, this is actually pretty old. Not sure when I got this. That's a black acrylic paint, watered down. And we're just going to wipe it all down a bit. That might actually be too thick, I wonder. What the hell? It's actually going in quicker than I thought it would. I wonder. So I'm just going to be cautious where I put it. There's definitely areas I want to accent, so those are the areas I'm going to go for. I might have just had too much on it to begin with, too. Does that look old or what? I still might have to do more in here and in here. But we're not going to worry about that right now. Because We got to do some red painting too. All right. So, to get some of the octopus and the lettering on this, I'm going to be making some stencils. This is the first time I'm actually doing stencils on my own. I got some. I actually couldn't find any specific stencil paper, but I did found a vinyl sticker that's waterproof. So I'm hoping I'm going to be able to make that work. We're going to give it a shot anyways. Before I do that though, I have to figure out some of these measurements or proportions. It's a little different. I mean, I figured it would come out a little different, but it's a little different than the actual game. And I want to make sure everything fits before I print it out on that paper. So, first thing we're going to do is grab a pencil. And I'm just going to do this bottom piece here. Let me get you a little closer. So now that you got a closer view of what I'm talking about, I drew a cheesy picture. Didn't have to be super special. And we're going to start by measuring the bottom here. And I'm just measuring it corner to corner. I'm not too concerned about getting the radius. And that's 14 3/16. And then the top one. That's 12 11/16. And we're going to say the same for the top. And then I'm going to figure out the middle parts here. All right, so final dimensions, and I'm honest with you, I didn't actually plan on it this way. Both of these are 14 3/16 inches. These are both 12 11/16 inches. And then in between here, I'm going to do 8 and 12 11/16 inches. Technically, based on the picture, it should be actually crossing these lines here and here, but I'm worried with the height I made that that's gonna look too fat, but I can play with it more. I know I have some wiggle room, but now we have those measurements, so we don't have to worry about that. So later, I'm going to go make the stencils, but we've got some other stuff to do before then. But we got the measurements now. Hey, George. Whoa, whoa, whoa. So, I just wanted to say, some of you might be looking at it. I don't know how good the view is in the camera here. Yeah, not that bad. But you might be like, oh, you're leaving spots. You're not doing it perfectly even. I know, because I've never done this before, and I'm just taking it nice and easy, and I could probably do a second coat, or I could spot those up. But there's another reason. I want this to look worn. So I'm just kind of building in some, so I'm worried about sanding this, and usually that's my way of taking some paint off. I'm not going to be able to, so I'm just kind of being cautious as I put it on. Just to, whoops. Just to give it that used look. That's why I'm doing that, if you're curious. And I totally think I made too much paint. Too much! Okay, we can keep going. Alright, so it's done. So while I wait for that to dry, I decided I'm gonna do the white. I don't know why I didn't think of it earlier. We're gonna do kind of the same technique I decided, especially since my spray paint isn't working anymore. Not because it's empty, it's because the top doesn't work, but I won't go into that. So we're just gonna do a standard white, and I'm gonna put it on as little as possible. Alright, so I'm happy enough with that paint job that I'm gonna let it sit overnight. The red, maroon, purple color, it's coming out good. The white, I might have to do a little more work. We'll see. I kind of want it to look perfect. Want it to look imperfect, anyways. But there's one more thing we gotta do. Um, so there's the nails or screws. I think there are nails in that. So I already put screws in there to hold it on, and I'm just gonna cover up with these blocks. These blocks we're gonna paint. Before I do that, we got one more thing to do. Alright, so I will say that wasn't probably the best idea. I think next time I want to do this, I'll hammer the top of them, and then I'll sand the sides out of it, or maybe do a curve, maybe do a pyramid, and then come down with the hammer on it. Pyramid with the sandpaper, and then hammer it down a bit. Um, So but I'm going to stick with these for now. I ended up having 3 blowouts in total. So probably not the best way to do it. But that's okay. Alright, so I've decided I'm going to use... Oh, that's not my gunmetal. Ah, there it is. I knew that looked too silver. Just to give it a little more contrast from black, I'm going to use gunmetal. I mean, it is metal. I'm not going to paint it on. I'm just going to kind of apply it with this cloth here. Alright, so another day, and we have our stencils printed out. I actually shrunk them a bit just because I figured if I could get it down to, I think it's 10.5 inches and 8 inches, they actually all fit on one piece of paper. So I'm gonna see if that works. So we have our stencils here. I just have to cut them out a bit. Do you think some adjustments are gonna have to be made? These aren't the actual stencils, by the way. This is just printer paper. I wanted to test it out before I printed it on really good paper. This is the one I think is going to need adjustments, but we'll see. And there's the actual Kraken. So I think that one's going to work out just fine. Yeah, it could be a little bigger. I'm not going to worry about that. So that's good. And we have, I don't know. Sweet. So those will work. I don't have to make any adjustments. That actually really makes me happy. I thought after looking at these, I was going to have to adjust them more, but nope, that'll work. All right, so I gotta print those out on the stencil paper. All right, so the stencils are drying, and they came out the same size and everything, which is good, and I didn't think that would be an issue. So before we move on to those, though, we're gonna do a little bit more in this. So this really black, dark red actually came out a lot smoother than the white paint, which is curious. So I'm gonna touch up the white paint a bit more, see if I can get it more. It's too rough for me right now. Um, but actually, we might not do that because another thing is I hopped into the game last night. Now, this color actually looks accurate based on the reference picture, but the picture I got actually was more just red. And I think I'm gonna like the red more. So we're gonna go over this with red paint, just the red paint. I'm much happier with how that's looking so far. So we're gonna let those pieces dry. All right, everyone. So now we're on to cutting up the stencil while we let that dry. All right, so we got our stencil on, looking good. I did set it a little bit more towards the left side because I didn't want this broom part to be cut off with this center indentation there, and we're not going to be painting that part. So it is a little bit off center to the left, but that's okay. Kind of gives it a or not artificial look, but imperfect look, which I want. Got our white paint, and we're just gonna go in. I'm not super concerned about bleed through or bleed over on this kind of piece, which is nice. But I'm still gonna take it easy. It's probably gonna take a few passes. Oh, and also too, where I mistakenly cut out one of the center pieces there. Let me get the. See here, there's a piece where the broom goes in between the tentacle. Not as big, but I have a piece of tape there. That's gonna help with that part. I decided not to use the actual sticker part because I'm not sure how strong that sticker is, and I don't want it to be leaving residue on the piece. Well, painter's tape I know won't give me an issue. By the way, I mentioned it before, this is not the proper way to actually paint essential. You're supposed to kind of more like dab it and do really light coats. But as I was saying before, I'm not too concerned with bleed over, which is what's going to probably happen with this a bit. Because it'll give it that imperfect look I was looking for. All right, everyone. All right, so it's done. Now I did a poor job stenciling on purpose, and so some of the things I wanted did come out, and some of the things that I didn't want did come out too. So we're gonna clean this up though. I'm not worried about it. I'm just gonna have to do some more here. I might have to put some more red paint in between because I see some of it came off. Unless yeah, I'm gonna have to put more red paint there. That's okay. I'll figure that out. Some cleanup around the edges, and it's definitely thin. I think part of it is I thought this red paint underneath was totally dry, but it seems like some of it is coming up with the white paint. So we're gonna let this sit, and we'll touch it up in a bit. I'm not too worried about it. And since I know this paint's not dry, I'm going to assume this paint's not dry. So we're going to hold off until I'm absolutely sure this is all set, ready to go. But I can clean this up. I know I can clean this up. And I want to... These broom bristles didn't come out as well as I hoped. So we're going to do more of the broom bristles. And some of it did need to look worn towards the bottom. I might not paint over, or I'll figure that out, or I just won't worry about it. But we'll take care of it. We'll fix this. Not too worried. All right, everyone. Sorry, we're back. So now we're moving on to these. These I'm gonna do actual perfect stenciling for. So first thing I gotta do is I'm actually gonna use my marker for this one. To make it a little easier. Oh, you know what I'm actually gonna do first before I start. No, I can do it without it. Okay, so to make my life easier, I'm just going to figure out what I can cut off. It's not exact, but that'll give me a little more wiggle room to tape, etc., etc., etc. I will say part of me wants me to actually use the sticker adhesive that comes on this, but I'm afraid taking it off is going to take some of the paint and leave some ugly residue. So I'm really, I'm not going, blah, 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 blah. I'm only going to do that as a last resort. So I do need to cut some letters, some circles for these. So let me actually bring you over. Whee! So we need the R and the and sign. Okay. I saved the other R, but I don't know where it went. So we're just going to use this one from the Kraken. Right? That'll. No, actually, it won't work. It's a little bigger. Hold on. Here's the R I'm looking for. So we're just going to actually cut a little bit more out of the center of this one. That'll work. And we're going to use this. What? What? All right, so there's that one. There's that one. And there's that one. Okay. That I might have to touch up more when we do it. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Alright, so now we just need black paint and we're gonna stipple, pretty much. Stipple. Alright, sorry about that, everyone. Phone ran out of battery. Wanted to let it charge for a bit. Hopefully I have enough to finish at least this part of it. So we have stippled this. We've gone over it twice because I really wanted it to be solid. I'm just looking. All right. All right, moment of truth. Cool. Little bleed over here and there, not much though, but that's okay. That kind of adds to it a bit. Oh, I got some right there. So I can correct it, or I might not. Probably not. I think that's cool. The George and so we just need to. Nice. Nice. I'm happy with that. Super happy with that. Look at that. Boom. The George and. We'll move on to the Kraken. All right, so what we do here is, because I'm not sure how much we caught, I'm going to do it again. So we take our brush, we just get a little paint, not a lot, and then the best thing to do is actually dab some of it off, just to see. You want it to be pretty much like a dry brush. See, like that? Probably too much, but now I got just enough. And then we're going to take it and we're just going to dab it on. Now get a nice solid color. You're gonna have to go over it more than once. I learned a lot of my stenciling skills or what little I have, from uh, Mid Hudson Antique. Dang, I'm trying to remember the name of the place now. I think it's Mid Hudson Antique and Art or something like that. I'll include a link in the description below to their website, because they actually hold classes, which is where I learned this. It was a class doing the farmhouse clock, which was really fun to make. Right, obviously, right now they're not doing classes because everything going on, but I think they're doing online videos like this, like a live stream that you can go along with. All right, another moment of truth. Not bad. I almost don't want to fill in that A or that R. Kind of gives it a cool. Kind of reminds me of Half Life. No, I'm actually gonna leave that as it is. I kind of like it like that. So what the heck? I think the same thing I did with the O over there. Yep, I did. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Look at that. Perfect. So those pieces are now complete. All right. So last thing I want to do tonight is we want to touch this up. So actually thinking about it a while, I think if I did this again, I would take more time with the stencil. I shouldn't have rushed it. I thought it was going to kind of give me a cool look. And in some ways it did. In some ways it really didn't. Um, I'm actually thinking I might have free-handed it next time. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I could have, maybe made it wider and stuff. But we have what we have here. Just something, an idea for next time, or if you decide to do a project on your own, you might do a stencil or you might decide to freehand it. So some of the things I noticed when I looked in the reference picture is up here by the broom. There's actually kind of a gap and then bristles. The photo I used didn't really express those very well. So we're gonna even this box out, and then we'll do some of the bristles. Also, too, there's some dry brush dripping in spots. I'm going to try and exaggerate those just by doing a dry brush. But first thing we're going to do is the box. Then we're going to do the insides, make the edges a little smoother in some places. And then we'll take it from there. All right, I'm going to let it sit. We'll check on it tomorrow. All right. So these have dried a bit. So this is all screwed up, ready to go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to super glue these on. Because they're nice small pieces. They shouldn't be put under too much tension or anything. So I think super glue is going to work great. Alright, so the piece is ready to be sealed. Seal it. I'm using Mini Wax Polycritic Clear Semi-Gloss. I use these on my flags all the time. Alright, so we're getting towards the end of this project. I'm really, really excited. So in the picture, it looks like it's a clasp, and then there's a metal ring in the clasp, and a rope goes through the clasp. I'm not going to do the whole star rope thing that gets in there, but we are going to do some clasps and some rope. So I got these clasps. These unfortunately didn't... I swear the picture that I looked at, these were supposed to be longer. They're not. We're gonna use these though. I'm not gonna worry about it. We got these ring clasps. These are supposedly hold up to at least 40 pounds. And actually feeling them, they actually feel pretty sturdy. We're gonna knock it back though with some black spray paint because they are dark in the picture. I'm not too concerned with some of the silver showing through. That's fine by me. In fact, I kind of want a little bit. So if these come out too black, we might knock it back a bit with some brushes and stuff. I don't know, we'll see. But there we go. I'm good with that. Quick, easy part. Not a big deal. We're going to let those dry. This thing looks fantastic. I love it. So our hooks have dried. Some of the paint's rubbing off of it. I'm okay with that. I wanted some silver coming through. So right now, we're just going to figure out the positioning of these. And we're just going to mark them real quick and drill and screw. All right, everyone, it's done. I love it. I really do. I could totally see this being hung up in an old bar or tavern somewhere. Very nice piece. You know, you walk in, grab a drink, look over the wall, and you could totally see something like this on a wall. So if you enjoyed it as much as I do, please like, follow, subscribe, share with your friends. And down below, please leave a comment. Especially if you have any ideas on a future build similar to this, even totally different. I would love to hear some unique ideas. So until next time, you take care and stay safe. And here's to you, George. Thanks for fighting off that Kraken.